So I know it's not quite visible from far away, but what I am trying to do here with Guillaume is put some divider between the gravel and the earth that is actually missing because it sort of collapsed and caved in. We're gonna take those tiles out. Those are only just to hold the earth, and once we top it up with the gravel inside, you're gonna pull them out. And here Guillaume is working on filling the gap that we had there with the dirt, and up to here we just have some gravel. So here is just gravel because our pipe actually starts somewhere here. And we tried to do similar thing here, so you can see we went with the earth. We basically topped it up with the earth up to here, and we still have that bit to go. And obviously this goes closer and closer. And we'll need some mining, basically. So Guillaume just finished doing the fair draw. It looks like that. It doesn't have a filling inside yet, so he's preparing a mix for this. I have noticed the wall is quite close or quite obvious as you come out of the house, and well, closer than the existing wall, which contradicts with what we wanted to do, which was pushing everything away from the house. And obviously we pushed it there away from the house because the earth was really close. It was like starting here before. In terms of like first impressions as you go out of the door, for me, because maybe I'm not used to it at the moment, for me first thing I see is this wall right away in front of me. I am about to go home and check the Google SketchUp to see if we've made a mistake or if it's something that I've actually measured previously and that's up to scratch. And obviously what I did here, I left that gap. That gap is actually meant to be here because it will act as a sort of drainage gap with some gravel. And here I've started digging, though I haven't finished for the stairs. So here will be the first step, and it will start with the line of the wall. So all we've been doing here is just pouring gravel behind the wall. It's quite difficult because our fabric is obviously 1 meter wide, so we try to overlap the fabric where it joins together, and so it proves quite tricky to put the gravel in there at the same time while holding the fabric. And we've also worked on topping it up with dirt where a cave sort of formed because the earth has collapsed. And this part of the slope was also too close to the wall, so we didn't dig enough, and it was too close for us to have a good 10 centimeters to put the gravel, and also was too close for Guillaume to even put a block, which will be actually the last block for this wall. So he just dug and took out some of the earth here. Once we have the last block on and gravel behind it, we will use a pickaxe and we will try to get rid of the excess of the dirt behind the wall. Our plan for this side of the garden, obviously where we have the most of the dirt that we don't want to have, is to try and bring it as low as possible. Obviously we can go only as low as our neighbor is, and from then on we have to adapt a different approach. And unfortunately there is quite a lot of earth that we will have to hold back against from falling onto our side. So we discussed it a few days ago, and what we're gonna use is the same method as here we have, and it's also the same method our neighbor on the other side is using to hold our earth from falling into her garden. So we're gonna dig it so it's like a straight cliff from our neighbor, and we're going to dig a hole for a concrete post somewhere there, and we're gonna get more of these concrete big slabs and obviously slot them in between the two posts to hold the excess of the air from the neighbor. So we have somewhat topped up the gravel up to the edge of the last block. So now Guillaume is going to prepare mortar mixture for setting the last blocks in. So we talked about the garden over the weekend, and we tried to draw a plan because we obviously, it's taking so much more time than we thought it would, and the summer is approaching and we would like to sit down and relax in the garden, or at least have a meal in the garden when it's nice and sunny. But with this pile of clay, it's not going to happen. So we sort of tried to draw a plan, and due to the fact that now we know we'll have to dig that earth there next to the neighbor, so then we can bring the level of the earth down. We know we will need somewhere to put it, and that earth is, I think, slightly better than the bunch of clay that we have here. So what we are working on here now is moving this clay to the front of the garden, which is another story because we'll have to get someone to dispose of this clay for us, which we already done some research and is going to be very, very expensive. But for the moment we are just focusing on moving the clay up to the front of the garden, so we have somewhere to put a slightly better earth from there. So Guillaume has made a start here on sort of uncovering what used to be our lawn. And for that purpose, over the week we bought the 1 ton bags. So those bags that can hold 1 ton of material. It's sort of same bag that we got our sand for the wall delivered, or our gravel. We have bought 5 of those bags, and for the moment, with this gone and a little bit from there, we fill the whole bag, meaning that we really have loads and loads. It's not like we didn't know that we have loads, but it sort of becomes more realistic and in our eyes more of a problem, because we don't really know where to put it anymore, and we don't really know how to dispose of it. And we also know that if we find somebody who is happy to dispose of it for us, it's going to be very, very expensive. So we're just facing a few issues at the moment, but in general we're just trying to make space for better earth, which will come from the slope at the bottom of the garden, and which will also come from here, obviously, because this whole platform has to go as well.